Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for this informational presentation webinar on defined learning. I'm Irene Parisi, the Chief Academic Officer for the Connecticut State Department of Education, and I'm thrilled that you chose this webinar to participate in today to learn more about how we can implement defined learning in our districts. So really quick, why a digital curricula and why defined learning? What I want to share with all of you participating is that we did participate in a competitive RFP process that was released in September of 2020. And through that process, defined learning rose to the top as a digital tool that we wanted to put in the hands of all of our learners statewide so that we could advance not only project-based learning, but advance the effective integration of strong, high impact, high quality technology resources in our daily learning plans. What I would like to do now is have my colleague Lisa Wolf share more about how to enroll, how to access defined learning in your district and your school, and have an opportunity to ask your questions throughout this webinar. So Lisa, thank you.
Thank you so much, Irene, and thank you all for joining on the webinar this afternoon. We were just talking right before, and we're wanted to avoid any sort of freezing of our cameras and everything too, so we are going to turn off our webcams right now, but wanted to give you guys a chance to see our faces so you know who is talking to you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off for right now. Second. Okay, well, we will go ahead and get started. So like I said, thank you so much for joining today. My name is Lisa Wolf, and I'm the Director of Products here at Defined Learning. We are absolutely delighted to be partnering with CSDE to provide defined learning to all educators in the state as a supplemental resource to help accelerate learning and advance equity in your state. To quote Andy Schaefer, our president here at Defined Learning, with the implementation of defined learning, we really hope to bridge the equity gap and cultivate essential skills preparing Connecticut students for the future. So in the presentation today, I'm going to share a bit about Defined Learning as a company, and I do want to mention that our company name is Defined Learning, and the resource that we're providing is also Defined Learning. So you're going to be hearing it used in a couple of different ways, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company as a whole in case this is the first time you're ever hearing of us. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the partnership and what this means to you and your districts. And then I'm going to provide a brief demo of the Defined Learning resource. So I'm also over the moon to be able to then turn it over to Tina Henkel. We're just delighted to have her with us. She's the Director of STEM Education in Norwalk Public Schools. And Tina is a power user of Defined Learning and will be sharing her experience with Defined Learning with all of you so you can hear it from a local user's perspective as well. My colleague Carolyn is also on the line, and she's here monitoring the Q&A and chat. So as we go through the presentation, if you have any questions about anything, please don't hesitate to put those in the chat either. So a little bit about Defined Learning, the company, just in case you've never heard of us before. We are a transformative K-12 ed tech company that combines technology, creativity, and curriculum expertise to really provide useful and relevant online content to our students, teachers, and administrators. The key part of our mission is right there in orange on the slide. Our mission is really to empower teachers to engage students in meaningful project-based learning that builds future-ready skills. So you see 7 skills below those 7 pillars right there, those rectangles, ranging anything from problem solving to thinking critically to communicating effectively. All of those future-ready skills are really at the heart of what we do across all of our products here at Defined Learning. And since 2009, Defined Learning has been helping school districts bring real-world career-connected experiences into the classroom through our web-based and easy-to-use digital platform that you're going to get to see here in just a little bit. So like I mentioned before, Defined Learning is absolutely delighted to be partnering with CSDE to bring our resource as a supplement to the great things already happening in Connecticut classrooms. So let's dig into what our partnership with CSDE entails. So first of all, you're going to have access to all of the project-based learning content library, which is really going to include about 3 things here that we're going to provide access to. So the first one is all of the hundreds of cross-curricular projects. Defined Learning, the resource, it is an online resource that's available 24/7. It's designed to engage students in career awareness through project and problem-based performance tasks. So each performance task assigned to students is completed through the context of a career to make learning relevant and to create a high level of engagement. And it's across multiple different levels here in terms of content. And I'm going to walk you through one of these performance tasks here in just a little bit. The second thing that people will have access to is PD. So every teacher will have access to free professional development in the form of self-paced online PD modules with Jay McTighe, who's the co-author of Understanding by Design Framework, which offers planning process to help guide curriculum, assessment, and instruction. These modules are designed to give educators a deeper understanding of pedagogical foundations, practical strategies, and application of project-based learning and authentic performance tasks. We're also going to be announcing additional professional development opportunities based on geography that will be held either virtually or in person if possible in the current teaching and learning environment. Last of all, any middle and high schools that are interested will also have access to Defined Careers, which is a comprehensive career exploration and experience system designed to level the playing field for all students. So for any middle and high school buildings out there, all you have to do is mention during your implementation webinar that you would also like Defined Careers, and you have access to that as well. So the next question, how do I enroll my district? So I had this website up on the agenda slide. I'm going to mention it again here, and I'm also going to take you right to it to walk you through it. But if you're, obviously you're at your computer right now, but if you go to learn.definedlearning.com/Connecticut, this is our landing page that is really going to help provide all sorts of information and an overview of how to get started. And I'm going to walk you through what we can do to help you get started. We're certainly going to be contacting all of the districts, but we're also encouraging district leaders to reach out to Defined Learning to schedule an implementation call. And we work with a lot of different login providers such as Google, Clever, ClassLink, and also a lot of LMSs to really provide a lot of easy access to the content. And through the implementation webinar, this is where participants are going to learn how to enroll teachers and students and manage rosters and the content and plan how that resource is going to be used throughout the coming year. So I'm going to go ahead and go right to this website, learn.definedlearning.com/Connecticut, and walk you through a lot of the great information that we already have here at your fingertips. So we've already gone through some of this already, what you're receiving in terms of the content as well as the PD. The next steps then are enrolling. Hopefully after this webinar, you're going to be very excited about all of the great PBL resources that Defined Learning offers, and you're going to want to sign up today to get this started. So you can even start to use it either at the end of this school year or digging into perhaps some summer enrichment opportunities, which I'm also going to talk about. But the easiest way, it's probably to click on the link right here where it says complete this form. When you click on this form is going to come up. And it's very straightforward. We're asking for some very, simple information, just your name, email, basic contact information. It's always good if we can get access to your IT person because we can work directly with them on all of the setup and everything too. But whatever information you have at your fingertips, once you submit this form, this will help trigger the process on our end. So that's probably the easiest way to get around and to get in contact with us. Of course, we're going to be trying to reach out to you guys too, but if you wanted a jump start, that's going to be a great way to do that. We have a couple of other ways here as well. So we have already assigned all of the districts in Connecticut to their personal implementation support. And right here, this link right here says you can find your district contact here. That will take you to this Google Sheet, and you will see the lists of all of the different school districts in Connecticut and your assigned implementation person. So if you want to email or call them directly, that's another option. And then finally, we have Kenny is our Vice President of Partnerships here at Defined Learning, and she's also happy to help facilitate this. So I'm also going to put her email address up at the very end. You've got her email, her phone number, or you can schedule a meeting directly with her. But 3 really good options. You can choose whichever one you are most comfortable with, and we will go ahead and get all of that started and get you set up with Defined Learning. And if you did want to choose, if you were in middle and high school, to get set up with Defined Careers too, you could do that as well. Now, a few other things I wanted to mention on this website is how to access Define Learning for summer enrichment. So we have already been working with CSDE to help align a number of performance tasks, 7 per grade level, in fact, for grades K through 8 that are appropriate for summer enrichment. And I'm going to show you right where those are once we dig into the system. So that I just wanted to give you a heads up that is right there. We also have a number of other getting started resources here. Our implementation team has already put together this nice video that can help, help all of your districts get started. So that is there for everybody to watch. We also have step-by-step video tutorials. And again, our implementation team is also at the ready to start helping help your districts and your educators get going. And then lastly, the professional development. So I mentioned earlier, that's one of the things that's included. And I'm going to show you this is a screenshot of Define Learning. There's going to be a button that goes right to PD with Jay McTighe. And that is where all of your educators can begin to access that PD. So I'm going to show you that too when we log in. So make sure and bookmark this website. It's a good one. Got lots of really great information there for you. learn.definedlearning.com/Connecticut. So let's go ahead and actually dig into Define Learning. I want to give you kind of a sneak peek here of Define Learning so you can actually see what a performance task is and exactly what all you're getting with Define Learning. So I am right now on the dashboard. After I've logged in, this is going to be my dashboard of what I can see within Define Learning. So you're going to notice right here at the top, welcome Connecticut educators. This is the summer enrichment performance task that I just mentioned. So if you click right here, you're going to be able to see all of the different tasks, all separated by grade level for grades K through 8. We've got 7 in each grade level that are already chosen. You can of course have access to all of the ones within Define Learning, but we've tried to make it easy so you can really hit the ground running. They're different from grade level to grade level, but you'll see each one has about 6, and we're actually going to be looking at Food Truck Entrepreneur here in just a second. But I did want to highlight this, that you have access to all of these right here that are already set up for you for your summer enrichment programs. You'll also notice if you go right here, projects matching units of study, it's going to be the same ones. So right here, we've got those same summer enrichment ones. But I wanted to mention that for your personal, your school or district, if you wanted us to do a custom alignment similar to what we've done for the summer school to your scope and sequence, we're able to do that. And this would show up right here for all of the teachers within your district. So, that's something during your implementation. If you did want to have something custom like that done, we'll do that free of charge for you and align our tasks right to your scope and sequence. So a few other things that I want to highlight right here on the dashboard. You'll see the resources. So right over here, and I mentioned PD with Jay McTighe, this is where all of the educators in the state have access to this. Simply click on it. There are 4 self-paced modules based on authenticity, real-world projects, assessing student learning, and then portfolios. They're all about 45 minutes each, but they're, like I said, self-paced, and educators can learn, at their own pace. That is right there. Educators can search by standards. So that's one of the ways, if they do want to search for a particular task based on standards, they can do that. And there's a number of other resources here too I would encourage folks to check out. I'm going to show you the other way that I like to search. I'm a former math teacher myself, and for me, I never had all of my state standards memorized, but I did know the topics I was teaching. So that was typically how I would search for things, but did want to mention that that is there. And then the other 2 boxes down here, getting started, we've got all of those videos also that are on your landing page right there to help educators get started. And then any new projects as they are being created, because we're constantly updating our library, are always focused down here at the bottom. But I'm going to focus right here on find your project. So like I said, if you want to search our whole library, we've got it broken down by subjects. Like I said, I was a math teacher, so I always kind of gravitate towards math. And I said, I always knew what topic I was teaching. So this is where you can narrow it down by topic if we wanted to. I'm going to keep it kind of broad and just leave that open. And we do have tasks that are from pre-K all the way through grades 12. I'm going to go right into the middle. We're just going to take a look at grades 6 through 8 and just kind of keep it broad here and click Find Projects. So you'll see after I clicked find projects, there are 49 different projects that meet that criteria here. So you can see that all of these projects, they are named based on the career that they're focusing. I'm going to scroll down just so you can kind of see some of these different names that we've got here and all of the diversity of all of the different careers. And we're really trying to make things very relevant for students. I know when I was a math teacher, one of the questions that I got all the time, almost every day, was, Miss Wolf, when are we ever going to use this? Define Learning takes that completely out of the equation because they're seeing exactly when they're going to use this right in through the lens of a career. So I'm going to walk you through one of these. So I'm going to take a look at Food Truck Entrepreneur. And as you saw, this was actually one of them that was chosen for the summer enrichment for grade 6 as well. All of these tasks have anywhere from 4 to 7 products that are associated with it. In this one, we have 3 of them that meet this criteria: the fuel expense chart, the map, and the monthly budget. So just to put those on your radar, because we're going to see those later on when we dig through the task. So they're all going to be set up using the same structure. And we are looking on the teacher side right now. The student side would actually be a lot more distilled down based on what the teacher wants to show the student. But up on the top, you're going to see this green bar going from left to right. And this is the process that a teacher will go through when they are working with a task and deciding what it is that they want to assign out to their students. So we're going to start with the project preview and spend most of the time there. Everything that I show you in the preview is able to be customized. Teachers can customize it if they want. For example, this is all about food trucks. So, I'm based actually in the Denver area, and if I wanted to do it on a local food truck, like the Wing Wagon was always my favorite one that would come by my house that I would stalk on Facebook. Where are they going to be? If I was a teacher, I could have customized this based on a food truck that I wanted to, but don't have to if I don't want to, if I didn't want to. We'll show how to just assign and share very quickly, and then of course monitor student progress. I did want to point out all of these, you can view a Spanish version with the simple click of a button. We also have, and in addition, we do have the Google Translate widget down here too. So these can all be translated using Google Translate. And for teachers who are new to project-based learning and want to get a good feel for how long each part should take, we do have the task plan here. Now, educators, of course, know their students the best, but they're going to be able to kind of look through and just get a good idea of about how long each part that I'm about to show you takes. So that's there just as a resource to help the educators as they're planning out their lessons. But you're going to see, of course, we went through from left to right there at the top. All of these steps 1 through 5, are what the teacher as well as the student will see in terms of working through their performance task. So we're always going to start with step 1, which is setting the stage. And here we're getting a nice introduction about, in this case, it's going to be food trucks and a little bit about that, as well as introducing the driving question. What decisions need to be made when creating a food truck business? We have the career video and guiding questions. All of these career videos are really great. I'm looking at time. I wanted to show you about a minute of it, but you're just going to have to watch this one on your own. But it is really cute in terms of kind of the history of food trucks and how they came to be and how they started actually in the 1800s out of a wagon. But it is a really interesting kind of hook to get students into the food trucks, and a few more questions to kind of help them guide throughout this performance task. And then every step along the way, you're going to see that we have student check-in questions and some guiding questions here. So what is an entrepreneur? What skills are needed to make ideas happen? And what skills are needed to develop a business model? After we've set the stage and students have had a chance to kind of learn a little bit about what they're getting into, in this case, it's the food trucks, they're going to start to explore the background. So we're starting off with some big ideas. We've got 2 big ideas here that we're looking at, as well as 2 essential questions, thinking through, the actual math content here that we're looking at. And of course, since we're in education, we can't go without an acronym here. So we're going to be looking at the GRASP model. So this is that understanding by design, where every single task is going to be set up with a goal, role, audience, and situation, is that GRAS, and then the P are going to be all of these products that we see over here to the side. Like I mentioned earlier, each performance test typically has anywhere from 4 to 7 products that are associated with it. But this is where that authenticity is really going to take part, and you're going to see all of the application as well, where we've got the goal. We're looking at, you're going to be looking to determine the freshest and most economical way to get your food in the hands of the public. We're developing a business plan to make a successful food truck here. role. You're part of the team of entrepreneurs who are decided to start the food truck business. Audience is going to be the rest of your team here. And then we've got the situation, telling a little bit more about food trucks, along with a number of different videos and resources to kind of help learn about the particular situation. So that's going to be the same across all of the different products. And then each performance task has, like I said, anywhere from 4 to 7. If you think back to when I did that search, there were 3 of them that met my criteria for math. We had the map, the chart, and the budget. So all of these products are going to be set up the same way. You're going to see, here's the product that we're going to be creating, a map. Find a map of your state, choose a farm area for the home, your food truck, and your business. And we're willing to travel 60 miles from the location. We're going to be drawing a circle around that. We're researching any fairs, outside markets, and carnivals. So this is going to be part of the thing that we're working with, is creating that map. Each product has a rubric that's already created for it to really make it easy for teachers. We're also providing anchors. So for students for teachers, so that they want to know, okay, this one was a map that had been created that was kind of on the high level of the spectrum there on the rubric, and one that was low. So then kind of have something to go off of. We have those for all of the different products there and all of the different grade levels. We have all of the standards already set there in terms of what this particular product was hitting for Connecticut. And then finally, we've got research questions. If we want to have, what are we actually thinking through? What locations will be able to sell your food within a 60-mile range, and what markets are promising in that particular area? So every single one of those products you'll see is set up using that same way. So we're not going to go through all of them, but as an educator, you can decide which ones are going to be most applicable to what it is that you're trying to teach to the students. Just like step 1, we have that student check-in, and we want to make sure that they understand what it is that they're doing, restate the problem in their own words. The next step, moving down from top to bottom here, is doing the research. So we have several different learning objects. So whether these are things that students might need to review, maybe they've already learned about expressions and simple equations, but these are going to be something that's relevant to the product, and they want to be able to, refresh their memory. We've got those there. In some cases, it might be things that they might not have learned about yet. The importance of geographic tools. Maybe that's something that they want to learn with, especially if we're doing the map product. So we've got a number of learning objects there that are really great and helpful for students. Any additional videos? So this is actually the career video that we started off with, but just to kind of refresh their memory of food trucks and the entrepreneur spirit here, we've got that there again. And then finally, any additional research resources that if a teacher wanted to do some extensions here, we've got, constructive response questions. These will take, if I, click this, it'll have a prompt. We've got the stimulus, and then the prompt down here at the bottom. How can you be a successful food truck entrepreneur? So they wanted to incorporate any sort of more reading and writing into it. We've also got all of the different reading levels there for all of those research resources. Of course, just like steps 1 and 2, we've got different check-in questions, because all along the way, we want to make sure that students are following along and reflecting on what it is that they're doing. Step 4, the design process and product creation. This is where we're going to really help students along with their design of their actual product. So here we've got a video for students in case they're new to PBL, learning a little bit more about how to brainstorm, analyzing and deciding, and creating and revising, because they might think that this is going to be a little bit different if they're not maybe used to PBL. And I always like to use the Formula 409 example. That's the reason why that cleaning solution was called Formula 409, is because it took 409 tries to get that formula just right. And so hopefully it doesn't take students 409 tries, but it may, but just to kind of encourage them to, you're going to have to go through kind of a process here. And that's what this design process video is going to help them to understand. So we've got a couple more check-in questions. So first of all, how are they doing with the brainstorming? So they've got, what are your ideas, whether they're doing it as a group or individually, they can enter their brainstorming ideas. After they've brainstormed, they have to narrow it down, analyze and decide which ones did you choose, which one are you moving forward with? And then finally, after they've decided what they're going to do, that's when the work really begins, and they're going to start to really submit and get their product right. So we were on the map. So here's again, just restating that problem, what they're doing. They're creating that map. We've got the rubric there for them, and then they're able to submit this right into the system. Then last but not least, we want students to be doing some reflection. So they've had a chance to, go through, they've learned about not only, their math content that they were looking at, but they were doing it in a real life situation as a food truck entrepreneur, using a lot of other different skills too. So we've got all of these check-in questions too that the teacher can use with the students. So that is, in a nutshell, the 5 steps that they'll go through. We do have some related content as well as teacher experiences that they can go through. In the interest of time, I'm going to skip to this next part here and just show you very briefly. After you've seen the preview, taken a look at all of this, teachers can really make this their own. So like I said earlier, they don't have to customize anything. If they want to keep everything the way it is, they absolutely can. The one thing that we do ask them to do is to decide which one of the products to assign. Like we mentioned earlier, since we're going with the same theme, I was looking for math ones. It was these first 3 that also had the math. Maybe as a teacher, I would just want to turn these off, make them invisible to students so they don't even see those parts. And maybe I say, these are the 3 that I want to show to students, and they get to pick 1, or maybe they pick 2 of those products to create. It's, it's up to however the teacher wants to implement that, but that way students would have voice and choice, or however they want to assign that out. This is really going to create a new version. You'll see the version here says food truck entrepreneur. It's always going to default with the date. They can name it however they want. I'll just call this Lisa's task. But then this is going to be there for the teacher to really go through and customize any of those different parts that we just saw. So right here, this should look familiar. It's the same 5 steps that we just went through, but now anywhere you see a blue dotted line, this is anything that the teacher can customize. So all of this, if they click into it, if they wanted to customize, like I said earlier, I always liked the wing wagon that would come by my house. If I wanted to customize it and mention that one in here, I certainly could. But I'm not going to do that right now. But every single piece, every single component, all of the guiding questions, any single part here can be updated and changed. You can see anything that's in that blue box. We don't need to spend too much time. Any of the products, you can upload any different resources, any different videos, whatever teachers would like to do to make things, custom for whatever it is they're doing. Here you can see the uploaded resources. They can do that right there. So after they've had a chance to customize this, you can edit the project setup, the tasks. We can do the student check-ins, just like the tasks. You can turn those on or off. And then finally, if you wanted to change any different standards, if you did modify it, it was now going to be assessing some different standards in there too. We've got all of those built in here, and you can customize which standards are actually going to be assessed for each one of those 3 products that you chose. Next step is just going to be able to assign that out to students. You can assign it directly to students. You can share the link, you can share with groups, or you can add it to a folder. So lots of different ways to do that. As well as monitoring progress. This is, right now just a demo account, and I don't have anything in here, and I haven't assigned it out yet either. So obviously that's not going to be anything that I can show you right now. But before I turn it over to Tinkle, to Tina, I wanted to show you really quickly in my projects. After I saved that, this is where you'll show it. So my one that I just saved is going to be right there, and that's always available for me to come back to and use from year to year, or tweak as I see necessary. You can share that within a district or across the state. If teachers are already creating their own projects and would like to just use the template, use Define Learning as a way to distribute those to students, we've got that in here too. You can create any of these different areas too. So I did want to mention that. I don't have any classes. If we had time, I would show you also how it looks from a student view as well, but I want to make sure and just want to make sure Tina has enough time as well. And I don't have any classes set up in here either. But as students are working through Define Learning, all of those products that they are creating are actually becoming part of their portfolio, which is another part of Define Learning that they're able to have and keep with them the whole time that they are working in Define Learning. So that was a brief look at a performance task. So I want to pause really quickly. I don't know if there's any questions that have come through that either Carolyn or Irene want to mention before I turn it over to Tina's portion. But I will pause very briefly.
Sure, thank you, Lisa. It's Irene. There was one question, but I think I answered it correctly. if the PowerPoint slides were going to be made available. And I said yes, as well as the recording of this webinar.
Yeah, I will definitely send those to you, and we can get them to that person however we can. So sure.
No, thank you so much, Lisa, for this overview. It's a lot of information in a short amount of time. I understand that, but so important and so exciting too. So I'm excited to hear from Tina from Norwalk Public Schools, who's been implementing this and how it's worked for Norwalk.
Thanks, Irene. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today and talk about some of my story around Defined Learning. And in fact, actually, I've been using Defined Learning for probably going on 6 years now. Before I came to Norwalk, I was using, actually at the time, it was called Defined STEM, because I was looking to have a tool that could enhance my science curriculum. And ironically, what happened was when we were piloting some of the tasks, the curriculum team that I put together came back and discovered that this was so much more than science. And so it ended up becoming a K-12 initiative in my previous district. So when I joined the Norwalk team about 3 years ago, I was really excited to know that I had this tool in my toolkit. And when it was ready, I was going to be able to take it out and use it to continue some of the work that I was doing in my previous district. So Lisa, if you could go to the next slide. I just wanted to first, again, just take the time to celebrate some of the great work that the Norwalk instructional leaders, the principals, the assistant principals, and the teachers have been doing over the last 3 years around project-based learning. We know that the research around project-based learning is clear. Active learning, where students are at the center of the work, yields very high significant improvements in a variety of performance and behavioral indicators. And as in district leadership, we are pivoting into a post-COVID world, we're always seeking for ways to revisit engagement and higher quality tasks so that we can link problem solving, critical thinking, and communication together. So moving into the next slide, some of the work that we did in Norwalk when we started this journey 3 years ago, even though there was a considerable amount of initiatives around curriculum in the K-12 area, I had joined the team right when we were building a STEAM school. One of our middle schools was being transformed into a STEAM academy, and that really was an exciting opportunity for myself and the school leaders to explore and define our vision for what a STEAM academy would look like. So we started this work by including focus groups with parents and students and teachers to kind of outline what our common understanding and vision was for what we valued for our students as they exited a STEAM academy when they exit 8th grade. So we started looking at some of the research around how we should best prepare our students moving forward into future careers. And we started looking at the future jobs report around what skills employers were looking for. And at that time, in 2018, when I joined the team, we were looking at that middle column, right? That complex problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity. And now, as we pivot into a new environment, we start looking at the newest report, which is getting ready for 2025. And one of the key findings of this report, the World Economic Report, was talking about the change in skills and around the fact that these are no longer isolated skills, but as you could see, we've now enhanced and expanded and are starting to look at characteristics and qualities that integrate with each other. And one of the key findings in this report talked about the skills gap, that the skills gap is continuing to be high in the next 5 years, and that the top skills and skills groups which employers see as rising in prominence in the lead up to 2025 includes groups such as critical thinking and analysis, as well as problem solving, and skills in self-management such as active learning, resilience, stress tolerance, and flexibility. And I say this because it's important for us to recognize that in any organization, when we're talking about learning, curriculum, and design, we are expected to blend these different approaches together. We are expected to draw on internal and external expertise. We need to weave new technology and technology tools in a formal and informal way so that we can support students in developing these skills, right? They don't just evolve overnight. We have to actually teach them and provide opportunities for kids to actually experience and build these skills over time. So moving to the next slide, from that conversation with our teams, what evolved was a framework. We started to outline what we valued when it came to what students needed to demonstrate, be able to do, and engage in through our learning experiences. And so we discovered these evolving themes when it came to designing rigorous tasks. And so I created this visual model over the last couple years because I wanted to be able to have something to reflect back on when we were designing our tasks, so that we had a common language and a common process around what we valued when we were designing rigorous tasks. So you could see that there's 3 components of our tasks. We want to make sure that the initial problem is authentic, it's engaging, it's purposeful, it integrates concepts, knowledge, and skills, and it's cross-disciplinary. Then as students move into the process portion of the projects, we want to make sure that students are researching, exploring, designing, prototyping. There's that iterative design thinking process. And then finally, they're ending with a product that they're communicating, they're discussing, they're reflecting, they're writing, and they're presenting it to an authentic audience, right? They're making their learning public. And sometimes there's a solution and sometimes there's not. And so I say that because as we moved into the work and we moved to the next slide, what happened was we started to create small groups of teachers to pilot a STEAM design product for our STEAM school. And although there were some pockets across the district that I was working with around project-based learning, most of my attention was focused in the STEAM school because this was at the forefront of our work, and we knew that we were, this work around curriculum design was critical to ensuring that the success of the school had a definitive vision and model. So what I'm talking about today is specific to the STEAM school. And so the 2 teams, we designed 2 pilot teams to actually begin designing our STEAM projects for school, for grade 6 and grade 8. And so that framework that we referred to before, you know, it looked great on paper, it's very visually appealing, but now we needed to like roll up our sleeves and get to work and actually make this framework come to life. And so this really emphasized and focused our work around the deep dive into our curriculum, into our scope and sequence, and into our standards. And so the 2 pilot teams that were put together included a cross content area of 5 different areas. We had art, music, science, social studies, English, and math. We also had our engineering teacher. And so these teams were working together closely around the framework of project-based learning, and we were trying to identify what the common themes were across our scope and sequence and what standards kind of popped up across the different content areas. And so that process also encouraged us to look at some model schools, model lessons, model videos. We also looked at designing these tasks from a backwards design. We have an international baccalaureate program, we have Project Lead the Way, and we have Clear Pathways in Norwalk. And so what we were saying was, if we know that these students are transitioning to high school and beyond, how could we use some of those themes and those focus areas to help us build some of these tasks so that they have this pathway from 8th grade and beyond, so they can make connections to the learning that they're doing in the middle school. So we really went into a deep dive around research and brainstorming with teams around what it meant for us to create a project-based design that integrated all the content areas together and really was meaningful to the students and had a career connection to the end result. And what happened from this discussion and this research was that talking and observing was not enough for our work to kind of catch hold and get us to move a little faster around the design process. So the next part that I'm talking to you about is the planning. So the planning template. So what I designed was 2 curriculum templates. One was a overview planner and one was an implementation planner. And it was the structure of these planners that helped us synthesize our thinking and our work in a really clear, concise, structured way. And so Lisa mentioned to you before about that GRASS model and that unit planner. So I took the unit planner. I also took some of research from Edutopia and from PBL Works, and I blended those 3 structures together and made our own Norwalk template. so that we could put all the pieces together that our teachers were talking about, so that we all felt comfortable and we were building this model together. And it was from that model that we decided that we needed a little bit more framework around what it would look like to design a project-based learning experience for students, and that's where Defined Learning came into play. That was our last missing piece to this learning process for our teachers. And so between the framework templates that I designed for the overview and the implementation, we transitioned into integrating the Defined Learning tasks into that process. And that's when all the pieces of the puzzle really came together and the work started moving much more smoothly. And we started moving a lot more quickly towards that end product, which was to actually design 2 pilot units to implement by the end of the school year. And I believe that without the use of those planners and the use of the Defined Learning platform, the teachers really felt like they didn't have a clear vision around where this was going and what it was supposed to look like. And that's when it helped me really increase the momentum of the work. So moving on to the next slide. I am so ecstatic to say that after 3 years of planning and making revisions through a pandemic, we finally had our 2 pilot groups come to fruition on Friday of last week. So our STEAM Academy, the grade 6 team and the grade 8 team, this was not the entire school. This was not all grade 6. It was not all grade 8. It was just 2 pilot teams that helped design these 2 tasks. And 16 teams from each grade level finally they finally had their products and their designs completed, and they presented to an authentic audience. And it was through the common exploration and common understanding of how to design a project-based task that our students really had a common language around vocabulary and the components, and they were able to deliver a really authentic, unique experience around project design. And ironically, the 6th grade task was built off of the food truck task that Lisa talked about before. It started out as the food truck entrepreneurial design, and it actually evolved into what is a healthy business and what does a healthy business mean to you? And that's what the essential question was at the end. And then the grade 8 unit, the grade 8 pilot project was actually what does it mean to leave a legacy? And so these 2 groups actually had opportunities to work together to complete the organization of these tasks. And then we had district leaders or school leaders that helped us really organize and be flexible around the schedule and the system of support in order to deliver the opportunities for kids to actually plan the units and also deliver the units. And then we used partnerships from Norwalk community. We had different businesses join our panel, including the architect that actually helped design the school. She was part of the panel in helping us evaluate some of the legacy projects, because one of the portions of the legacy project was to redesign a portion of the school to leave a legacy behind for future grade levels and future generations. So that was really exciting. So these were just some of the bullets that you'll have access to in the presentation that really help structure the experience and the design process for the teachers and the students. And the next slide was just some feedback from the students. I think in the end, what Lisa was talking about before around voice and choice and creativity and allowing students to branch off and kind of be creative in their own way says a lot with some of the feedback that we receive from our students. It seems as though now that we've provided this opportunity to them, they're very engaged, they're really excited to be in this type of format of delivery. And in the end, I think we want to continue to build some more tasks like this that wrap around at certain points in the year and extend and expand on our curriculum so that students are regularly having these experiences to be creative, work collaboratively in groups, have an option to choose the path that they want. And in the end, all their projects look very different, and they come to the table ready to explain their journey and explain how they went from point A to point B, which was really exciting. And I have to say, this was really about the process If you think back to that P-cube, that framework that we designed in Norwalk, it's really about the process of the learning. And sometimes we have students that, you know, they didn't really get to the end product yet, but they're talking about their process and how they went from their initial problem to the process and where they want to go next. And that's part of the learning as well. So moving forward, Lisa, in the next slide, I just wanted to synthesize some of the work that we're going to move forward with in Norwalk. This was a 3-year pilot. I'm really excited that we got to this point. But moving forward, we're also trying to be creative, and I'm really excited to see that Define Learning is also thinking ahead around some of these summer tasks for us as well. That's really exciting. But what we were thinking too in Norwalk, we were going to use this in some new ways as well. Now that we have the opportunity to expand our use of Define Learning K-12, we're going to continue aligning some of these tasks and write them into our unit map so that we can enhance our curriculum. And we're fortunate because when you work with Define Learning, which I've done every year, is you can partner and collaborate with their curriculum design team, and they will help you align some of these tasks to your units within a certain curriculum, which really help with some of the work to enhance the curriculum that's already in existence, and it wraps around the units really nicely. We're also going to be piloting a credit recovery course for our high school students this summer, which I'm really excited about. We're trying to be unique and think of some high school level courses that we can combine together, such as social studies and a biology course, so that there's a co-taught course, so students can actually complete a series of project-based tasks and more focus on mastery-based learning, so that students can receive 2 credits in the end versus 1, and teachers are working together across content areas to really engage and enhance the learning and show the integration between the history and the content in the science. And then finally, I'm also excited because next year we're going to be working with our one of our high schools to really focus with a small group of teachers to expand the micro-credentialing aspect around professional development that Define Learning has and is looking to expand upon around really building capacity of our teachers to really kind of embrace project-based learning and how we can transform the experience for students in the classroom. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually have...
Lisa, you were good.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Tina. It was just awesome to hear everything that Norwalk's been doing, and hopefully that gives some ideas to everybody who tuned in today or is going to watch this later on a recording. So before I turn it back over to Irene, I wanted to just thank everybody again for tuning in. I do have Brandon's name and email address up here again, as somebody, if you wanted a point of contact, like I said, it is right on the website too. And thank you to Irene. I saw you put that in the chat for everybody as well. But the learn.definelearning.com/Connecticut's really going to be a great go-to resource for everybody to find out those next steps and to get this set up so you can be up and running and hopefully starting to implement this for your summer enrichment courses too. So I will pause here. This is we left about 12 minutes left for any more questions. So didn't know if anything else had come in through the chat that we might want to be able to address. Otherwise, we might be able to give some time back in the day. So Irene, anything that you'd like us to address that has come up? Otherwise, I'll toss it back over to you.
Okay, thank you. No, I don't see anything else in the chat right now, so we can give a moment for those that are the attendees to type in some questions. But if I may, I wanted to recognize something that Tina had said, because what we've been communicating is that these resources are intended to enhance what you're doing at the district level or even supplement. It's not intended to replace. And I think you said that best, where you were saying how this aligned with your IB work or Project Lead the Way and Career Pathways, and how it really elevated that work and thinking, but it still honored too what you were doing in Norwalk. So I think that's an important message to get out there, that regardless of what you are doing, this can be a very nice complement to that work. So thank you for sharing that, Tina. I also, I love the idea of that voice and choice. And again, another reason why Defined Learning was chosen to go statewide for us and support us in accelerating the learning of all learners, teacher and student. So having that flexibility, but also lifting student voice and choice is what we believe and what we want to see more happen. And I love the customization that both of you had talked about too. I think that's an important message, that this platform is customizable, again, to meet the needs of the students that you serve in front of you. Connecticut is unique. We have very unique districts, some small, large, and super large. So knowing that there's that flexibility to customize based on those needs or mission, vision, portrait of a graduate, I think is amazing. It's an amazing resource that we have access to. So I'll pause there. I don't see any other questions coming into the chat, so I don't know if there's any other final thoughts or comments from our team.
Nothing from me, Irene, but thank you for all of your comments. Those were great.
I just wanted to reiterate what I had mentioned in the beginning, Irene, which is I do appreciate the state supporting districts around high quality tools like this, because now we're able to really expand on a deeper level some of the ability to enhance the curriculum, which we, sometimes it's hard because of funding, you have to really focus in certain areas. And now with state support, we're able to expand that to a K-12 environment, which is really exciting. So thank you.
No, thank you for sharing that as well. And it's another reason why, if we can put those resources in your hands, then yes, you can put additional resources in the hands of the students that are needed in districts. So I appreciate you saying that. So at this time, I think I'm just going to check one more time to see if there are any additional questions. I don't see any. So again, thank you to the Define Learning team. Thank you to Tina Henkel from Norwalk Public Schools for sharing up and out, and we'll be back again for another webinar in a few days. So thank you to all of our participants, and we'll make this webinar available at the close of this webinar. Thank you.